I guess you're able to see my screen.
Yeah, Suman, we can
Yes,
see.
Suman, I can see it.
Okay. Yeah, well, I think I'll start once Rohit confirms that it's recording.
Yes, it
Yeah,
is.
Suman,
Yep.
it started.
Started. Okay. Awesome. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity, Rohit and team. I'm excited to talk about the sim data models today, and also, hope everyone is safe. I know it's COVID time. Everybody should wear masks and be safe, right? Uh, okay, so a little bit about me. I'm a CTO and co-founder of Bits.io. Bits.io does Splunk professional services, and we've been in business for 5 years now. As personally, I'm very passionate about Splunk, and I've talked in Conf 2020. Looking forward to talk in 2021 as well. Um, I'm very passionate about helping customers, and also we are in the nonprofit where we help nonprofits with some pro bono time. I'll probably have Teja kind of introduce himself, and then I'll go into the details. Teja.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Suman. Hello, everyone. This is Teja. I'm with Bits.io for 3+ years, and I've been splunking. I started my journey as a data administrator. Then I worked out through PS professional services now, and my expertise are in cloud, ES, and ITSI. Yeah, Suman.
Okay, awesome. So I think today the agenda will be data models in ES, how the event flow happens within the data models, SIM compliance using SIM validator tags and event types tuning, some T-stats commands and demo. I think I'd like to keep it short with this with the presentation, but maybe we'll spend more time on the demo. I think live demo might be more catchy, I think. So let's get started. So event flow into data models, right? I think when I think of data model, I see that it's a subset of all your events in your indexes, right? And if you understand database, it's like a data model is a table within the database. So you have a pre-built structure, and within security you can differentiate data or categorize data by so many things, like authentication, network traffic, network sessions, access, malware. So they came up with this predefined set of data models. So if you go into Splunk docs, there are I think 10 or 12 data models that you can use pre-built. And events from different sources like Cisco, Palo Alto, any other vendors, they send data in different structure. And the data model, the beauty of our data model is it's going to take in all these different structures and put it in a format, in a table format, where you can have a standardized fields that are required within the ES. So one thing I would like to say about data models is not just data models, but tuning the data models is, I think it's very important to send only related data into data models than sending everything, because a lot of the times you get false positives because you're sending so much data into a data model, which let's say you have Cisco ASA, and sometimes Cisco ASA has authentication type of events, And also it has events that are network traffic related, majority of them. So if you don't tune your data model and send all the events, then you're sending more data into data models, and uh, in turn, all ES is going to look at behind the scenes is work off of data models, right? Um, I think I would say everything that happens within enterprise security is based off of data models. So it's important that we tune and only send the data that relates to that data model. If it is network traffic, you're only sending network traffic data into data model. So that's why I kind of, wanted to show events as, it's showing on the left side, you have so much of data, but with the help of event types and tags, your data model is so tiny, so small that you only have the related data for that data model. Hope that makes sense, and that makes it the SIM ES much faster because the data models are very focused around that specific data, and it doesn't have to work hard to get all of the data. So, you can put it in the chat. Also, does data model consume more space on disk? So it depends. I think most of it depends. If you if if you accelerate a data model, that's the only time that your disk is consumed. Otherwise, I think it's just
Suman,
going. Yeah.
Rafiq this side. Was very much curious about uh, that. How much data does the data model use to generate? If you take an example of Cisco ASA on a daily basis, it's generating around 10 GB of data is getting ingested, and we have the data model on the top of that, and
Mhm.
we have accelerated that. How much percentage does that summary data will create with that with respect to 10 GB of data?
So if it depends. I think if you're sending all of that data, 10 GB of data into data model from the index, um, I I I don't know the exact
I can
compression,
help
but
you in here, Suman.
yeah, okay,
So yeah, it's a 3.4, like 3.4 times the actual data that you are using as for ES. So let's say a 10 GB, right? So 10 times 3.4, that is, I mean, 10, yeah, 10 times 3.4 is how much? Like 30,
30, yeah,
34,
30,
yeah, 34 gigs is what your disk looks like. That's the space that data models will use.
Thank you. Got it.
sure, okay. So, I touched upon reducing false positives by tuning DMs. So, a lot of customers where I went to, I didn't do anything great, but just tuning the data model, tuning the event types and tags, and most of the times, if you take a TA, any technology add-on from Splunk, I mean, most of them are tuned, but some of them just say anything source type of Cisco ASA, uh, tag it as network traffic. So that kind of makes all the data from index go into a data model. So I definitely recommend tuning the data models. But yeah, when it comes to the data model consume more space on disk, it does only only when you accelerated it. Um, so I think there are different ways you can do SIM compliance. I think it's not only that you tune the um, event types and tags, but you also have to make sure you have all the data model fields that are required uh, are available in your events in a specific event or index. So we are going to go through this SimVal later. It's a great tool. I don't know, Teja, if it's available on Splunk Cloud. but it's a very useful tool to actually validate or tune it.
It is available in Splunk Cloud, but we have to treat it in a different way, Suman. Yeah, we can install that on cloud as well.
Okay. Yeah, I think nowadays I see a lot of customers are using are on Splunk Cloud, and I wasn't sure if this app was vetted and open for Splunk Cloud customers. But for on-prem, I definitely, it's simple to install. Definitely would, suggest you guys use the SIM validator. But more to come on this one in the demo. I just quickly wanted to go through it. Event type tuning, I think event types and tags pretty much are related, and they go in one setting. Like here, bandwidth is the event type, and then source type equal to bandwidth, and you get all the tags on the left: network, OS host, performance. So anything that matches source type equal to bandwidth, all those events, when you search in the search bar, you will see on the left the tags that bandwidth source type will have are going to be network, OS host, performance, resource, and success. So when I say tuning, I think I'm saying tuning like this. So not only just have the source type, but also have some other conditions. Like here, there was one extra condition that you have here. I would prefer this way than just giving the blue code proxy SG access file. Maybe if all the 100% of the events from that source type are proxy web, yes, that's fine. But I think most of the times you have some data that's not proxy web, or whatever the tags may be. And we'll kind of show you around in the data model. How do you navigate around data models? And most of the commands within the enterprise security use tstats, right? So tstats is much faster, and tstats will only work when you accelerate your data model. You cannot use tstats if you don't have accelerated data model. So I mean, little bit of trivia I would like to throw out there is tstats. Have you guys used tstats for only data models, or is there any other way you could use tstats? If you have answer, you can post it in the chat. But tstats can be used on the indexes, like you only source type and host. So you can do pipe tstats from index equal to this by source or source type or something. So that's another place you can use tstats, but tstats is just used on most of the times on data models, and enterprise security is totally based on data models. So you will see a lot of tstats being used. So familiarizing yourself with the tstats is always a good idea. And most of the commands will use summaries only, which means that I only want to look at the data model events that are already summarized, not from the index. And when you do tstats, an interesting thing is drop DM object name. I don't know if you ever used it, but a lot of customers like to use this because when you do a command, tstats command like this one, for example, you always have to use the prefix of the data model, like for each field. So if you're doing action, then you're doing that. So there is a there is a data model called network traffic. But when you do the command tstats count where data model equal network traffic by network traffic dot action. So this command has some issue. So I think the reason I want to show this because the sometimes you can use the data model name itself, and sometimes you have to use the node name. So in this one, most of the cases you can use authentication data model. For example, you can use authentication dot action. But in this case, you can't use network traffic, but you have to use all underscore traffic. So let me see if I can stop sharing and do the actual docs. Um, So here, network traffic. So the dataset name is different here, um, but this is a network traffic data model. So since it's all traffic, you have to use all traffic dot action. But when it comes to authentication, dataset name is actually authentication itself, then you would use authentication.action. So it kind of helps sometimes, you get confused like, oh yeah, for authentication, I used authentication.action, but when it came to network traffic, people tend to use network traffic.action and then it won't work. So hope that makes sense. But you guys can post questions if you have some on that. Let's see if I can share the PDF again. Okay. So a drop DM object name will help avoid using the prefix all the time. So all it's doing is you can use, it's a macro, so you can use drop DM object name and the data model name. So going forward, you can use just action field instead of using the whole prefix and everything. And then we'll show pivot, how business users can use pivot if they don't know how to query the data models. And there are some reference links, all that, and I think, oh yeah, so I think another interesting thing I want to show is like in data models, you don't need to tune your data model to get all the fields, right? I think you can just get the fields that this page mentions here. So, in Splunk ES, you may have 30 different dashboards, but they all use only few fields from the data model. So if you want to see what authentication data model uses as fields, so you can just type here authentication dot, and then I know app src user action um, dest. I think pretty much only few fields are needed. So what I'm trying to show is if there is authentication, don't worry about getting all these fields in here. There may be 20 different fields or 30 different fields, but I would like you to go and only tune a data model to get the fields that this sheet mentions here. So I have the link in there, so you guys can check it out. Maybe there may be 10 or 12 fields that are going to be used in the enterprise security. So only worry about those. Don't worry about the other fields unless you have another reason that you query those fields. Okay. Let's see. Um, so these links are here, and so one is the data model definitions, and then the other one is data model required fields. I think we'll go into the demo. I should have the demo screen, but I have the thank you one. So, but anyway, I found this one, be a model, was a little bit funny when I saw it on a con session from 2014. So I thought it's funny, so I just kept it here. But Teja, over to you, and let's do some demo.
Sure, Simon. Thank you.
Any questions before Teja starts? Yep. Good answers. I think people are dropping data model name. Good. Awesome. There are some experts here. Like maybe you guys can pitch in too. Are you able to share, Teja?
Yes, Suman. It had some issues with permissions. I just had it right. Let me know when you guys can see my screen. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, now we'll focus on stream SMTP data set, and this is related to email data model. So let's see. Okay. I think it's thinking too much. Okay, yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Let's get on to the last 60 minutes. Yeah, and this is through the VPN, I believe. So VPN is acting weird in the last 15 minutes.
Okay.
So I tried to switch back to a next best available tunnel. So yeah, I think that's why it is taking some time to throw the results out there. Okay, yeah, finally, here you go. So this is the actual data, and this is the JSON data that we get from the Stream app. And I'm on a demo server. These are not the actual events. So if you see any odd event names or odd event values, just please ignore. Okay, so this is how the actual data looks like. Now our goal is to make this SIM compliance not like 100%, at least like 90%, or the fields that are required in the dashboard metrics that Suman showed. And we will achieve that using a SIM Validator app. I have installed a SIM Validator in this demo server, and let me hit submit here. So yeah, that is taking a while to show up, but yeah, once I hit submit, it'll tell you how your event looks like with the recommended fields in the data model that is associated with email. So here it says, okay, my missing that. I know that's an important field that I need to fix that. And dust, it says it's looking good, and I have 100% coverage for that. And file name, I did look at the raw event to check if I have file name anywhere displayed in this event. I couldn't find one, so I can ignore that field. I don't need to worry about this. And protocol, it is 100%. And recipient, it is 100%. Signature, I don't have any signature field associated with this data type in data type, so I'm going to ignore that. And source, I have that. Source user, I have it. And URL, user, and vendor product. URL, I looked through all the events here. I couldn't find any event or a field that gives me information about URL that's been used. So I'm going to ignore that. User, yeah, user is not the source user or the sender. I just referred to the documents in the SMTP. So user is a different field than the sender. So let's say a process, whoever initiated the process, that process information that I am not gathering here in this data. So I'm going to ignore that. And the vendor product, it's not being extracted. I know that's an important field. So here, my goal is now to make sure I have action field and vendor product. When looking at the SMTP logs, I figured out that response code is responsible for action. Now I have a status codes, right? Now, when I look through a Stream app, I found that there is an action field, whatever that is greater than less than or equal to 200, that is considered as a action as delivered, and rest is considered as blocked. So I'm going to create a action field, and also I'm going to create a calculated field for vendor product. Let's look at that. So I'm here in this calculated fields section, and I know my source type is stream SMTP, and the name is action, and I already have the. One second, I'm trying to copy paste from my notes. So here, so anything that is greater than 421, it's considered as blocked. Anything between greater than 200 and 421 is considered as dead. It doesn't have any response code in the events, then I'm saying it should be unknown. So let's save it. Let's find it and make it global. And let's create one more for vendor product.
Yeah, I just want to mention something. I think most of the TAs for these vendor products have, SIM compliant field names already. It's just that sometimes you don't have those TAs, or you might have a customized products that send more data than what Splunk default TA assumes it is. So I think that's when you have to extract or calculate these fields.
Correct, yeah.
Do we need debug refresh or no?
No, Suman, I think it was. I think it's the VPN
Okay.
here that is acting up. Let me refresh that. Well, let me see if I can.
Ted, can I ask a quick question? I noticed
Sure,
that when
yeah.
you created the previous field there, you went in and changed the permissions to global. If you just wouldn't mind
Yes,
explaining
that's
why
correct.
that.
Yeah.
So what's the rationale for that last piece?
Yeah.
Why would you need to make it global?
Yeah. So as soon as I create any knowledge objects from UI, it will have it under private. That is, only I can use that that knowledge object. For example, that calculated field, only it will be available for me, and no one else will be able to use that knowledge object that I created. So that's the reason I wanted to make it global, so that anyone, any user who is searching from any app, let it be search and reporting app or a launcher app or it can be everyone, all the apps will have this knowledge object listed in that, so you can make use of that knowledge object. That's the reason for changing the permission.
Oh, super! Thanks for confirming.
Yeah, so I think,
So
I
for
would like to add on
you're
top of
welcome.
it is, on top of that, Alim, I think, big companies where they have 30 different teams and they're creating these knowledge objects, any fields, I recommend them to not set globally, because when you set globally, then every time you search, it is going through all these extractions, even though it's not needed. So
Right.
we also say this app only. So let's say you have a tools team within a company, they will have their own app created on top. It will show up as an app, like instead of search app, you have a tools team app.
Gotcha.
And then they will go under, and then when they have to search their data, they search only specific to that app, then that field will show up and not in others. It is much faster if you don't do global. But for these purposes, yes,
Super. Yeah.
this one. Yeah.
Now we have. I think I closed that page on accident. Let me open it real quick. So now I can tell that these two are in global level, and we should see the action field, and also we should see the vendor product.
I think, Teja, as part of the tuning the event type and tags, right? I think maybe we can use this example where you have the action field has some valid values. So those events only get tagged. Other events won't get tagged.
Sure, someone will use that. So now it's 100%, and either it's block delivered or unknown. And now let's look at the vendor product real quick. Vendor product, yes. So vendor product is 100% now, and I have set it to Streamap.
Yeah. Can you go up? I want to talk about one thing on the action field. So action field. So it has some the predefined values, right? So it says found to the yellow is invalid under the action section, right? It says found to unexpected values. So if you go to the data model definition on the Splunk site, it will say action should have these two fields. So if you go scroll down, to action field. So action field, it's the prescribed fields are delivered, blocked, quarantined, and deleted. And we have different fields. So it is also giving you that information of, hey, you have unexpected values. It's okay. You might have your own thing, but just know that those. So where this will be useful is Splunk Enterprise Security uses some predefined values for these action fields, and it will have the drop down pre-populated with blocked or the whatever fields were in that email data model definition. So I'd like you to focus on, okay, if it's yellow, then go look at it and then see if you can make them rename it. Like maybe if it's delivered, say something else that matches to the. So go back to the email data model definition. So I'd like you to say if it is what was the other value that's not matching? You can just translate it into different thing, like if this, then make the value as this. So that will be useful in when you pick the some of the dashboards drop down from the enterprise security dashboards. So that's one thing I wanted to say. And now it's 100%, but I don't think it's 100%. So when it's unknown, I don't think it is the real value for us. So what I would say is those 2.95% for sure should not be in the data model, because if it's unknown, I don't think the other values also going to give you any value. So at least you can say in your event types and say that if the action field equal to blocked or delivered, then only tag those events to be email. Otherwise, all the other events will be not tagged, right? So, okay, go ahead, please.
Yeah. So now let's look at the event types that someone is referring. Currently, let's look at what all event types I have. I think I can just show it from here. I don't want to select it, do any stats there. Yeah. So I have a stream email, and all the events currently are going to are being set under defined under this event type. Now let's go ahead and tune that and see if we can eliminate the 2.9% that is unknown values. Just let us use only the action as delivered. Use this email template here, and we can use these fields and instead of using unknown, right? So let's make an update to the event type. So I know my event type is this. Currently, it's looking at all the stream source types, and we are going to restrict that. So let's say first it should be SMTP, and then I should have action equal to daily word, or action equal to
double quotes, I think, right?
Let's look at
It's not copying.
yes, Suman. Switching between Mac and Windows. This is how it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So I think this is, and I'm going to tag it as email. I can also look at the data model here, and it says yes, my email should contain a tag as email. So I'm going to just use that in my tag list. And that's it. I'm going to save that. It's already global. Okay. Now let's look at, I'm going to run this.
Can you show me quickly, are there any tags right now or no?
Tags. No, it's not been tagged as email currently,
Okay.
as one. It's been tagged as ticket.
Okay. Yep.
Now I have the action field block delivered unknown, and let's look at the event type. I have the event type, and now let's look at the product and the tag. Tag email. So I have email as a tag, and you can see the difference. I'm just looking at action delivered or blocked or quarantined or deleted, and you can see the difference. Everything else is everything else has like 89, and my email tag has only 385. So this way we are excluding the ones with with action as unknown. So these 11 events are excluded from my search. So these 11 events will be excluded in the data model.
Yep.
You can use it like this, tag equal to email. You can see that it's 100% coverage now, and I have only two values, that is blocked and delivered. The unknown has been ignored. Okay, so now we have tag, we have event type, and let's look at the data model search. How we can use the data model. How we can use the data model in tstats and make the searches faster. So this is a sample query. In the slides, you might have seen that someone talked about a dropped DM object name. What it does is, let us see in an action. So let me copy this first. It's thinking.
So I don't know, Teja, how much our documentation says, but how much faster is the data model compared to the index search, right? It would be, I don't know, 10 times or 5 times.
Not sure, Suman. I don't have the exact. But all I can think of is way faster than
it's very
the
fast.
Yeah. So now this is how you use a tstats from a data model. So you can see that I'm calling a data model email, and if you see the notes here, I can just do email here, like someone mentioned, right? So I can just use email.action. I need to specify the actual node. How do I know what node to use? If you can look at the email data model, it will tell you what's the data set name it is. So this is the one that you need to use as a node. And if you are looking at the delivery, then that's a different node you have to use. So let's go back here. And the drop DM object, what it does is it will drop all the all underscore email that is appended to the recipient, all the field names. Now let's look at how it will format the field names for us. There you go. So action, recipient, SRC user, subject, and count. I don't need to use multiple renames to rename each and every field. I can just use name, make cleaner version compared to the SIM.
So can you try to remove the summaries only equal to true and
Sure.
see if there is a difference? So they have 1971 now. Okay.
Mhm.
So I think this is to demo that it will also get the live events if you don't have the T, because the T only brings you data that is already summarized that is in the database or in the data model. But if it is F, then I really want the live data that's coming into the index as well. So this is slower compared to the other one. But I think. In enterprise security, we have the correlation searches that run off of data models. They run every 5 minutes or 15 minutes. And I think we are okay even if we don't have the recent one. So T is the one I definitely suggest. And then it will catch up. Like you can see, it runs every 5 minutes. The summary, is that true, Teja? I think it runs every 5 minutes. Every data model get accelerated every 5 minutes, right?
Yes, Suman. Yeah, by default it runs every 5 minutes. All the data model will accelerate every 5 minutes, and it'll keep the fresh data or the real the recent in it. So every minutes is what.
Yeah. And I think the next one is pivot, I think, right? Or did you have anything else here?
I had the SIM setup, Suman.
Okay.
After this, I'll show the pivot. Yeah. Now this is an enterprise security app. So in this app, it is recommended that we whitelist or add a list of indexes that is used by certain data model. Let's say in real world, a customer will have all their data related to email in an email. So what I will do is I need to restrict that email data model to search only email index. Currently, since it's a demo, I'm using main as my index. So I'm going to restrict this to main index. That way, my data model will be running way faster and the job will be completed within seconds instead of looking at all indexes. Let's say I have like 100 indexes, then I don't need to go through each and every index and look for the tags, right? So this way it is very faster and the data model accelerations will complete way faster if we have the whitelist on.
Yeah. And I think, Teja, on this screen, right, I think somebody asked, like, how do I get 1 year back events from data model? I think it depends on your summary range. So if you have the summary range here 1 year, then it is going to have that 1 year of data. Or, I mean, for authentication, though, I will never recommend more than 30 days because it's a lot of data that comes from Windows servers and all that. So, but yeah, you can set up summary range for 1 year if you want the data back 1 year.
Yes, yeah. So it will, and also the backfill range that we are looking for. So the backfill and the summary range are two different things here. So summary range, okay, from now onwards, we'll keep a summary of like 1 year. If I want to use, if I want old data that is backfill to the last year June, then I need to mention it here, and I have to say, okay, I need to have backfill till last year all the data and keep it ready. So this will actually give you the old data, and you can search for your old data in terms of t-stats or summary equal to true. If I keep only summary range, if I don't mention the backfill, then it will just keep on adding the summary that's been accelerated just now. So I can't actually look at the data that is old, that is last year's data. So that's the difference between these two, backfill range and the summary range. Okay, now let's move on to pivot. So email data model. I'm so sorry, and I think it's just a VPN. My internet is working fine. I just tested in my other laptop. It has a good speed, like, but I think since it's going through the VPN, it's taking a lot of time to display the results. So in between, Suman, before the last step, that's the pivot. Anything else that you want to share, Suman? I think we have went through this dashboard, enterprise security dashboard, right?
Yeah, I think. I think we have these links as well. So yeah, if we can't show it, but at least show on the. I think on the settings also there is pivot. So maybe show them. Go to the settings one again. Maybe another window with the data model settings. Yeah. Click on the data models. I think this is mostly. I'm assuming that 90% all of you here are technical, and you probably won't use the pivot as much. But the other, I think business users, you can actually use the pivot option. I think it's available from the data model editor screen itself. You don't have to pick any specific data model, but there is an option right next to the definition, or each row has a pivot link. You can click on it, and so the pivot option, you can use it. Just it is easy. So like all email, click on that, and then you can split by action, and then so it's pretty handy that go ahead.
I can also use whether it's I can also use the fields like test. Okay, how many destinations based on test? What are my actions? So I can use it. So this is a really easy way for non-business users to come look at some stats on what's happening. So we don't need to know SPL to create reports. We can easily use pivots, and we can try to achieve what we want. And here on the left-hand side, we have a graphical representation of the stats, what we have. So let's look at this, for example. Okay, again, it's acting up. Okay, yeah, graphical representation of what's happening. But do a pie chart, and I can just save this, and I can add this to any dashboard panel that I have. I can save it as a report, and we can use it as any other saved report that we have. So yeah, that's it, Suman.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Teja. It is a great demo, and I really wanted this to be more on the demo live than the slides. So I hope you all liked it. I think questions wise you can post it here, or as Rohit mentioned, there is a Slack channel. You can ask there, and we can respond back on your questions. Rohit, back to you.
Yeah. So team, if anyone is having question, please feel free to ask. But first I'll ask. So just one thing, you have talk about the field called drop DM object, right? So it works same as SPath, right? I mean, ideally what SPath do is the same thing on the index.
What I'm looking at the drop DMS, it will remove the nodes. Like actually, it will do a operation, and then it's renaming everything that is prefixed for the field value.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So I guess it's same as SPath is doing the same thing.
Okay. Okay.
So guys, if anyone is having any question, please feel free to ask. Are there no questions?
Hi.
Hello.
Yeah. Windows log have too many events. Can we minimize, anyhow, the Windows and DNS log?
Yeah, I think, Deb, I think it's the same thing, same way, like, how we did the event type tuning, adding the filters and everything. I think you have the opportunity to do the event type tuning and get only the required events into the data model. Yeah, I think as I mentioned, I'll keep checking on the Slack channel as well, and then we can take questions there.
Okay.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Okay. Thank you, Suman. Thank you, Teja. And guys, for the .conf 21, the registrations are open. So please go ahead and register yourself. The date for the same for virtual is October 19 and 20. So feel free to register for same. And the next session will be on 22nd July on the Cribble with the collaboration with the London user group. So Alim and Rohit mostly will be presenting at the session, and do RSVP for the next event. And till then, take care. Bye bye, and do Splunking.
Yeah,
Brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
So
Bye.
much.
Everyone.
Thank you.
Brilliant.
Bye-bye.
Fantastic.